You take a job you can't really talk about. You're flown into the Nevada desert on a no-questions-asked flight. You sign a mountain of paperwork. And then one day, you walk through a hangar door, and sitting right there is something that looks like a flying saucer. Not a movie prop, not a drone. That's the world Bob Lazar says he stepped into, working at a site he calls S-4, near what most people know as Area 51. And whether you believe him or not, this story has one thing going for it. In this episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Lazar lays out the bullet points of his claim. He was hired to work on advanced propulsion, and the real assignment was reverse engineering non-human craft, specifically the power and propulsion system. He says the hiring process was vague on purpose. Advanced propulsion, remote location, weird schedule, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Nothing that screams aliens. But then the security process kicks in. Clearances, interviews, forms, and a flight into a restricted base. His first day? Mostly paperwork. Boring. But then comes the moment he says changed everything. He describes entering S-4 through a hangar where the doors were open, and there it was, the disc. Smooth, metallic, and with a small American flag sticker on the side, like someone tagged it. He admits his first thought was almost funny. Oh, so this is what explains all the UFO stories. It's just some next-level military craft. Then he did something he wasn't supposed to do. He touched it. And he says he got immediately reprimanded. Hard. Like, eyes forward, hands at your side, keep walking. But the real shock wasn't just seeing the craft. It was what he claims was powering it. Lazar says he was partnered with a guy named Barry, and in their lab, they had components from the craft, especially what he describes as a small reactor, about the size of a basketball. Here's the wild part. He claims when that device was operating, it produced a gravitational field. Not magnetism, not electricity, not heat. A field that physically pushed his hand away when he tried to touch it. Like trying to press two magnets together. Except he insists it wasn't a magnet. And he makes a big point about why that matters. Human technology doesn't turn gravity on. Gravity, as we experience it, comes from mass, planets, stars, huge objects. We don't have a machine you can flip on like an electromagnet and suddenly create a gravity field. He says that moment connected with the briefings he'd read, short documents that described the project as reverse engineering off-world technology. He admits at first he wondered if it was planted nonsense, disinformation, a loyalty test, something to trace leaks. But after the hands-on experience, he claims the briefings felt real. Then he brings up another famous piece of the Lazar story, Element 115. He claims the reactor used a stable form of Element 115 as fuel, something not on the periodic table at the time. Today, Element 115 is known as moscovium, and it can be created in labs, but it's typically extremely unstable. Lazar's claim is that what they had was a stable isotope, and that's what made the whole system possible. He also describes seeing inside the craft once. He says everything looked unworldly. No sharp corners, everything curved like it had been molded and fused. No obvious control panels the way we imagine. And he claims the craft seemed built for beings smaller than humans. Tight spaces, small seating, and a strange layout centered around the reactor. And then, another moment that keeps people hooked. He says he witnessed a test. He describes the craft outside the hangar, lifting quietly with a faint bluish glow underneath, like corona discharge, and then hovering silently. He says it moved with simple maneuvers, and that later, the high-performance tests were done at times chosen to reduce traffic and visibility. From there, the story shifts from mind-blowing to paranoia. He says the work schedule was weird, late-night calls telling him to be at the airport fast. his personal life started to crack under the secrecy. He believed phones were monitored. He felt watched. And he says he made a reckless decision. He took friends out into the desert to watch the test flights so they could see it with their own eyes. Eventually, he claims they were caught. And after that, he says things spiraled. Threats, intimidation, and what he describes as attempts to erase his background and discredit him. Now, listen. You don't have to believe Bob Lazar, but you also can't deny this. The way he tells it is specific. It's not vague fantasy. It's timelines, procedures, technology descriptions, security protocols, stuff that makes you pause. So the real question is this: is it the greatest sci-fi story ever told? Or did he get way closer to the truth than anyone wants to admit? If you want the full episode, I'll drop the full video link down below. Thanks for watching. Now tell me, what part?